you surprised by those who've decided it's worth the risk to reopen?
Tamron, when I saw that hair salon, it made my heart sink because we all know what that means. It means that you're going to have people close to each other. They're going to leave those hair salons. They're going to go back to their families and to their communities and potentially spread this virus. And so it is so surprising to me that people have such a disregard for the science and the data. And especially when you look at the African American community, where there is a barbershop and hair salon on every single corner.
Mayor, you've mentioned that in the past, despite your political differences, that you and the governor have been able to work across the aisle on certain issues. Why do you believe he was unwilling to compromise? Not only is he ignoring the advice from you and leaders within the state, he's also ignoring the president's, I guess, if you will, his changing position, but nevertheless, right now, he's positioned against Governor Kemp. Why is he unwilling to compromise here?
You know, Tamron, the only thing that I can think of is that this is driven purely by economics. We are facing a $4 billion shortfall in our state's budget. And I know that when people fill out unemployment applications, they are asked, have you refused to work or do you have the ability to go back to work? So perhaps this will impact the benefits that have to be paid out to people. I've never found the governor to be an unreasonable man. But this really defies logic for me.
Mayor, let me ask you about a prominent Atlanta resident, Chainz, who is a rap star who owns a couple of restaurants in Atlanta. Initially, he planned to reopen with these new guidelines from the governor because he has laid off some 80% of the staff of his restaurant. Now we know that he's reconsidered and will not open, will only do takeout service. Clearly, though, this is an example of a business owner, one who happens to be famous, but a business owner who is torn between helping his employees, helping his own finances, and the science out there.
Absolutely. And I know that Chainz and his wife, Keisha, have a love and heart for our community that really is unparalleled. So I know for them, when he talks about laying off 80% of his employees, their faces and their families that go along with that. But I was so glad that he reached out to me and told me that he would not be opening because he is listening to reason and logic. And what he's saying is that I am not going to risk putting my employees in harm's way because we are opening up too soon. There will be a day when we'll get back to business as usual, and we'll be able to go to restaurants and embrace each other again. We just aren't there yet.
Let me ask you about another big development here. Tyler Perry, obviously another prominent resident of the state, has said now that he is considering opening up the Tyler Perry studios with certain parameters that would include, according to the report, screening employees for fever before entering the production facility and then staying there, living there until the end of the production. He also notes he would not move forward with any plan that you did not approve of. So he wants to work with you as the mayor of Atlanta. With that said, can you tell me, do you see a plan ahead, something similar to what Tyler Perry may be considering to get businesses back open that is not as extreme as the governor is and has proposed and implemented at this point?
I think, Tamron, we all agree it has to be a phased approach. And I've not discussed this in detail with Tyler, but I think it's a very different situation if you know that you have a set of people who have not tested positive and they are living in a contained area. But that's something I would want to get input from our health experts on. We know we're going to have to phase in this economic recovery. So I can even see us opening up dental offices, perhaps, and medical offices in places where people have access to PPE and know the appropriate way to put it on. But when I see pictures of people getting their beards trimmed without a mask on, we know that you're putting one another at risk. And that's what this is all about. It's about not putting each other at risk.